How's it going, guys? So today we're going to do the starter on the E60. Kinds of bugs in here. We did a starter on E90, the same starter, the same engine, but different car. Things are a little bit different. I have to do it anyway. If you didn't notice in the last video, our E60 build, everything was going great. Spent a ton of money on this thing, even though it's dirty under the hood. But we didn't do the starter. And if you remember right, we had two starters for it. We had one that had 92,000 miles on it, and the one on the donor engine, which had 123,000. This one didn't have markings on it. The one we put in was a factory starter. Lo and behold, we never even got to drive it, and the starter is junk. Okay, so this is what's happened here. We got our starter from DB Electrical. DB Electrical, I'll put a link in the description for the starter. This is all the E90 stuff, all the N52, N54, N55, all that stuff for the 6-cylinder. All take the same starter, right? So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Nathan, you stupid goof, you got two starters. Well, I didn't intend to have two starters, but that's the way it worked out. So what happened was I ordered the first starter. These are on Amazon Prime. Well, the Amazon warehouse ran out, and so they had to come right from DB Electrical. Well, they sent it UPS, so it came time yesterday to get it, and UPS didn't bring it. UPS came, dropped off other stuff, didn't bring it. So I got on, looked at the tracking, and it was that UPS Innovations or whatever the hell it is, where it changes to the post office. So I was fuming mad. Not really, but anyway, I called them up. I said, hey man, look, this is what's going on. I'm promoting that starter. My cars won't start. I need to get it fixed. I said, it's on UPS Innovations. This was Thursday, yesterday. Today's Friday. I said, it may not get here till Saturday or Monday. That's not satisfactory. I said, okay, well, Amazon ran out. We had to ship it right from us. That's what happened. I said, okay, don't ship stuff UPS Innovations or wherever the hell it is where it changes to the post office. It takes another few days. It's going to piss all your customers off. They said, okay, we understand. So they overnighted me another one, which came in this morning, right? Also, the other one was supposed to be returned, directed back to them. It showed up too. So I think what we're going to do is Friday, midday on Friday. I'm going to put one of these in, make sure it works. Once it verifies it works, I think I'm going to call them Monday because they're not going to be on Saturday. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and repurchase. Just send us some extra money for this. Throw this on the shelf. Since we're actually looking for E90s and E60s in one series with this engine in it, or N54 engine in it, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to have one on the shelf. We service several of these cars. It's not a bad idea. They're $64. They're not that much money, but to have one in stock is probably good. So anyhow, enough of that nonsense. That's why I have two starters. In case you're wondering, we're going to try to set this damn tripod up. I need to get some kind of different tripod setup, some kind of extendable arm I can mount like up here or behind me and pull it down with the camera on it, and that's what I'm looking for. If you guys know where to find that, I'm gonna do some digging when this video's over. I feel like I'm babbling on and on. If you guys know where to find a good quality one of those that isn't $1,000, let me know. If not, I'll buy one off Amazon that has good reviews. I don't know. Anyhow, we're gonna start with this. We're gonna have to do a few things here. We're gonna basically pull this back off. There's no bolts in it. That's 5 seconds. We're gonna have to pull the cowling back out, unfortunately. That's kind of a pain in the butt. We're gonna have to pull the air box. We're gonna have to pull the air intake tube. We're gonna have to pull the bolts out of the intake manifold, but we shouldn't have to touch the injectors. Unhook all the lines connecting to that. We're gonna have to lift the intake manifold completely out of the car to get to that starter. Sounds like a terrible situation, but it's really not that bad. Okay, so to pull this cowl out, you have a T20 right there, which we just took out. You can even see it. One other side, we're going to plug these two switches. This is going to be an air temperature switch. It's going to be the switch for the alarm when the hood's closed. It's going to come down and hit that. We're going to flip the little bails up. And didn't I order filters for this damn thing? That and the door switch. What the hell's going on here? Did I not order this stuff or did it not come in? I need to figure that out. For this very second, we'll set that right there. Little water sitting right there. And we're going to go over and do the same with this. We're going to pop this guy out. And we took the T20 out of there. I think that was all that goes in there, yeah. So let me see here if I remember right. Pull that off. That comes out. So yeah, the driver's side one has to come out first. Holy crap, the camera's all over the place. We'll just set that over there. Maybe set that down there. We'll pull this guy here out. Same with him, set it out of the way. And I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the drains totally out of the ECU box. A lot of guys are telling me on that video I did how to clean it. Cleaning is great, but it takes a little to stop it up. Just pull it out. I'll probably take the time and go and do that on both sides. And we just had like 3 inches of rain. I'm curious to see. I can't see any water down below. I can't see down below. Yeah, I'll go and do that. Just a safety precaution. And it probably won't be for me. That would be a safety precaution. Be for whoever buys this next, whoever gets it given away to them, or whatever we decide to do. All right, let me clear all this crap off. I think we're gonna have to pull the bar off. I hate to have to do that, but it looks like the intake's not gonna clear. So if you don't know, these cars have like this little cross member piece. Has a Torx bit there, has 2 there, has 1 over there, and it's kind of a strut brace. We'll rip all that off. It is important to note before you do any of this, unhook the battery, which I already done. So yeah, we'll go and pull that strut brace off. We'll get these wires out of the holder that's hold on there, and it's really not that big a job. Once you do that, once you have the airbox disconnected, it really is pretty easy to get this off. All right, hope you can see this okay. What we're gonna do, we're gonna come in here first of all, we're gonna pop these latches. I think we're gonna go ahead and take it at there. Get, first of all, we're going to pop mass airflow sensor, which is right there. Like these little pick, you have to push up on that just slightly but not snap it off. Now let's see, push it right out. We're going to grab straight, we're going to do this hose clamp right here. That's going to allow us to lift out the top of the airbox with a mass airflow sensor on it. Put that on the workbench out of the way. Make sure you guys are still recording. We've got our new filter in here. Since it is new, let's go ahead and just remove it so we don't damage it. If you guys are interested in that filter, I'll put a link in the description. That is the cleanable, washable. It's basically a K&N, but it's not a K&N brand. I think they were like 12 or 13 bucks. Definitely an upgrade. That way you can clean it. Let's go and squeeze this guy. Pull that off and clip him from that. And we're going to go ahead and unplug that sensor right there. Let me see here. We're going to take the going to push these little empty plugs down. That allows us to get to the hose clamp. Take the throttle body boot off. Get off there. Okay, we're going to get you guys in over here. We got the throttle body. We could probably leave that on. Leave it physically bolted in. But this lower harness, There's 2 bolts that go in it. The 2 bolts we did not put back in. They were never in it when we got it. You might have to take these 4 throttle body bolts out to get that off. And then there's a plug right here for the throttle body. And then on the back side here, there's a vacuum line. Another one of these squeeze clamps. All the vacuum lines in this car are the squeeze clamps. There's another one right there. You're going to have to pull that one off. So once you do that, where was the other one? There's another one on the bottom here. All these slip off of here like so. Pull up on them. Get off of there, you heifer. Like that. In the same way, there's a push button on that. That pulls out of there like so. That unhooks all that. I think we'll go and pull the throttle body off anyway. I think that allows us to get to the other vacuum ports in the back. No, I guess it doesn't. But you can see down here, well, maybe you can see, there's another squeeze hose down there. That removes that. That goes around to the back of the valve cover. I think there's actually 2 parts to that. I'll have to get it off and see. But anyhow, you remove that. There's another plug for the PVC heater, which is right there. You have to pull the intake back off and unplug that. And right now, we're just going to take basically 11 millimeter deep. We're going to pull all these intake bolts and nuts off. We'll take 2 minutes to do that. And once you do that, you can pivot it back. And hell, we're getting pretty close to having it done. All right, so went and zipped off the throttle body, and with this new attachment I got, that 1/4 inch universal, I get them all at the impact, no problem. So literally 10 seconds to pull that off. Figured this would be a little bit easier. It smells kind of like old gas, which is expected from this. That's not very shocking. I really like to try to do this without pulling this gas line off. That should clear, because it's going to stink the whole shop up. We got the heat on in here. I really don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's find a magnet. And we got our little tray here. Let's put this somewhere up here out of the way. We're not going to knock it over. And if you can't get it to with your finger, you're going to want to take a magnet on a stick or whatever and get it off like that. Like I said, this is 11 millimeter. And this is a $1,000 job. It actually might be $1,500 job. Whoa, buddy, almost dropped her. As you can see, don't let a shop charge you to do this. Literally, a 10-year-old could do this job. So I forgot to put that bad boy back in last time. We'll make sure and do that this time. Not that it matters that much. Let's go and unplug these oxygen sensors. Lay that out of the way, because that routes through here. For right now, we'll just push those back down there. We can't forget to pull those back up before we put it back on. That's all the bolts. That's it, my friends. Let's go and unplug this just to get this out of the way, this oil pressure sensor. Let that back there. So I think we're ready to pull it back. When we pull it back, we're going to go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and pull. See if I can pull this off the back of the valve cover. That's a really tight spot. Be very cautious when unplugging these lines. It's always possible you might break it. Let's not break it. It's brand new. Let's go ahead and pull this back. As you can see, the injectors do not mount in this intake manifold. That makes it tremendously easier to get off. Let's see if we get this off of there. Man, I hate to have to take that damn line off. I really don't want to take that gas line off, because it's going to freaking spray everywhere. Take it off real slow. Ah. Alright. Well, that smells delicious, let me tell you. There. Just kind of fish that around there. You can see on the back side here, there is 2 connectors. Squeeze. I'm at all the wrong angles. Take that one off. Go and squeeze and pull this one off. Like so. Let's get our pick. Man, that gas reeks. Hate gas. Hate that smell, boys. Hate that smell. Pull that out. That's the heater that has a recall on it. Let's stop the camera. Let's open the damn door. Turn the heat off. It stinks. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't affect your light any. If the light's worth the crap anyway, I don't know. So, I think for the most part, we're free and clear. We're going to lift that off. Put that over here. Out of the way. And you can see now, here's the starter. So all we're going to do is unplug this guy here. We're going to pull that 13 there, take the wire off. Basically, we'll take a wrench. There's 2 bolts to hold it on. There is one of the Torx bits there. We can use an impact on that one to get that out. These are aluminum bolts, so be careful when you torque them back down. Snug them up, and then a little bit is pretty much the deal here. Back here we're going to use, I think it was 11 millimeter ratchet wrench. We'll take that one out. There'll be nothing freaking to it. Yeah, so the next few clips, the camera sadly enough did not record audio, or was all distorted. So we had the starter, we just swapped it out. Like I said, use a ratchet wrench on the back. I think it was 7/16 ended up using, and impact on that guy used a 10 millimeter or 11 millimeter. Take it right out, no problem at all. Aluminum bolts, so be careful with them. Don't over torque them. Overall, not a difficult job whatsoever. Okay, so we're going to go and reinstall the intake manifold at this point, and you got to wrestle with it just a little bit, as you'll see here in a second. Going back in, and basically you're going to try to, wiping off the gaskets here, but the theory is try to hook the back under all the hoses first, and then drop the front of it in. And don't forget about your connections here. So we're going to just try to get it in there first, and then we're going to pull these oxygen sensor wires up before we actually push it up to the engine itself. So just kind of pull everything kind of close and kind of in place. We're going to try to push that under that gas line and stuff. It's not too bad. I'm kind of fumbling around here a little bit, trying to figure out where everything goes. You can see in the back corner by the firewall. We'll have to sort all that out. We're going pushing on the PVC hoses, PCV hoses, and we're going to go and plug that PVC heater in. That's the heater that has a recall. That's the one that burns your house down. And this car has not had the recall done. I don't know if BMW even does that yet. But that's what we just plugged in underneath there. Oxygen sensor wires are pulled up through so we can access them easy. We're just lining up the bolts here. Basically just dropping everything in place, getting all close. And you gotta kind of pick up on the side the throttle body mounts to get it to slide on the studs. And at least BMW put studs in it, so it's not like you're trying to line up the bowl holes or anything. Once you slide down the studs, it self-aligns itself. And there it goes. Slides right down. Make sure your wires are up out of there so you're not fishing them out later on. And basically what we're going to do here is just reinstall the throttle body. What I'm doing right now is pushing that push lock hose back on behind the throttle body with that vacuum line before we go any further. It's so easy to forget that, and then you end up with a severe misfire. The car will barely even start. with that off. And so basically, yeah, we're just sorting everything out. We're plugging that, forgot what it's even called, that sensor on the very back. Clicking that on. It's a tight fit. You gotta make sure it's clicked all the way on. We're gonna throw a check engine light, and it's really a very simple job. We're going finger tightening the bolts here, getting them started. We're gonna take our little impact and snug them up. It should be around 15 foot-pounds for those intake bolts. But a little impact, I don't hog them down with it. Just kind of do it where I know about where it's at. I've used the impacts enough to where I know what it could do. The hose for the fuel line is kind of loose, but it's not leaking or anything, so like it snapped on fine. They're just kind of like that. And so yeah, I don't know. We're just putting the last couple on here. You'll see here in 1 second. I'll get the impact and we'll zip them all right down. Even the very back one, you can access no problem. And where the older cars, N54, you know, in the E39, E46, the back ones are pretty hard to get to. The fuel injectors are all in the way. You got to take all that crap off. But these aren't like that. Overall, it's a much easier engine to work on, and a lot less vacuum lines. So I know what I'm doing here. Oh, I forgot one. You can see once I get it in there, I mean, it'll take just a second to tighten them all up. We're going to go from the center out. Oh, that's where I had the nut from the old starter on it instead of the correct one. So we're screwing that back on the old starter so we get it mixed up again. And now we're putting the correct one on it. And you can tell it has a 13 millimeter on the starter terminal. So we're going to bang that out. We're just snugging it. You can see me bumping the trigger. Go ahead and snug them all up first, come back, and we'll hit them one more time. And you notice again going from the center out. You never start from the edge and go in. I'm not sure to spread the flange out correctly and seat the gaskets correctly. You can see me just bumping the trigger. If I held it on there with that impact and just hogged it down, it would definitely break the bolts off. But we're squeezing it and we're not putting the trigger all the way down, we're just bumping it. And you can see that little 1/4-inch universal, man, it just so easy. I'll try to find a link in the description. I don't think I bought those off Amazon though, but I'll try to find a link in the description for you guys. I've done a video on those in the past. So I think at this point, what we're going to do here, plug the O2 sensors back in. That'll take me 5 minutes. We're going to reinstall that throttle body. Caught up here. Come on. Put them all back in the holders correctly. Try to remember how to do it correctly. Try to put the wire under, that's not how it goes. Alright. So you need to find a bolt for that fuel line to hold the holder in place. And we don't snap those wires and the holders yet until we put the throttle body on. And you'll see me here. I'll stick the throttle body on there. I'll start them all with my fingers, all 4 bolts with my fingers. We'll take the impact, snug them up, and then I'll take my 1/4-inch drive ratchet and finish tightening those. And I do go back here at the end. I don't know if it's on video or not. And re-torque these intake manifold bolts to the head. Just kind of put a ratchet on them and make sure that they all feel right. So I hate doing these voiceovers because you get the spots where you're just waiting to catch up to the video. Alright, so we push the oil pressure sensor back on. Now we're getting a ratchet using 1/4-inch drive with a 3-inch extension with 10 millimeter. Now here we're just snugging them all up with the impact. Just so it barely clicks and I stop with that. long 10mm bolt should be torqued at 7 foot-pounds, so they can't take much. That's why I don't tighten them up with that. Those intake manifold bolts at 15 foot-pounds, I mean, you have a little leeway on those. And we'll get in here and just kind of finish them off with a ratchet. The biggest thing on these cars is if you pay attention, don't forget anything, you're pretty much good to go. And if you're kind of sloppy and forget things, then it'll definitely come back and bite you later. You see my super shady tripod situation at the bottom of the screen. I have a foot of the tripod on the valve cover. 1 foot of it's on the radiator support, 1 foot of it's actually on the expansion tank for the coolant. So one wrong move and that GoPro is hitting the floor. So I'm plugging everything back in, pushing those line connectors on, make sure we didn't forget anything, double, triple checking everything. See, pushing back on there. Put those 2 little empty plugs on right above the throttle body. That's what I just did. Pushing all those in, those will go in our wire holders and our cowling. Triple checking that sensor on the back of the intake there. Triple checking the gas line. Like I said, it's kind of loose but doesn't leak a drop, so it should be fine. It seems like I'm yelling at it or something weird. Yeah, there, I'm putting those little plugs back in, make sure everything's fitting correctly. Paying attention to detail on it, and that's what you have to do. Alright, so I'm going to reinstall the throttle body boot, intake tube, we loosen the clamp just a little bit more, we're going to fish it in there. Push these on, it should snap pretty good, so you know you're on. Make sure it's on there, it's real easy to not get it on all the way. If you're not used to doing it, you tighten the clamp and it slips off, gone unnoticed. It could slip off when you're driving down the road and you're going to lose all power. We're just taking our little screwdriver here, we're just snugging it up, and I think I got tired of that nonsense. I went and got the impact, put the 7mm on it. Snugged it up with that. It's a lot easier, a lot quicker. That little universal, you can just do stuff like that real easy. Nothing's ever in the way of it, it seems like. Yeah. Turns 5 minutes to turn the screwdriver and just basically 3 seconds with that little impact. I think I have the wrong socket there. Look at the angle on that baby. Done. Just that easy. If you're not working on cars with that little universal, you're making life complicated for no reason, especially on disassembly. Go back and check it one more time just to make 100%. I'm doing still fiddling with it. Okay, we're going to snap this hose of the pump, the vacuum pump back on. It's just a push lock. I'm going to put the air filter back in it. That's the filter I got from eBay. That's the one you could rewash and reuse. I'll put the link in the description. They're like 12 bucks. It's like a knockoff K&N. Coming in a couple different colors. A lot of people use them. A lot of people have really good reviews on them. It fits perfect in the box. Trying to make sure the mass airflow sensor ducting is all plugged in there correctly. Rip my glove. Here I'm fiddling with the air box a little bit. I didn't have it. It wasn't the filter holding it back. I didn't have the front snapped in just quite perfectly. And I think I was yelling about the dealership here. And one little thing's flung off of there. See here 1 second. There you go. I was yelling about the trolls and they're gonna make fun of me for doing that and everything else. This snaps back on there. It's real easy. So here 1 second, I actually push it down hard enough to where it's snapping correctly. There we are. Everything's locked in. Double check that. I'm actually first tightening that clamp. It's not uncommon. I'll go back and double check things quite a bit. Plug in the mass airflow. We got the tripod. Bring you guys in for a close-up. Unless we're going to try to start it. Man, I can't believe all the audio is gone for this. There you go. Shining the light right in your eyes. Make a long story short here, and we'll clip some of this out. I went to start it didn't start. So that's kind of par for the course. Okay, so figure out the problem. Man, what a pain in the butt this was. I was gonna make another video, but I thought no, it's not really worthy of another video. So we were click but not start. We replaced the starter. The other starter was real, like it would barely click, right? Replace this starter and it would just clack real hard. So we did a bunch of things. Got on the internet, starting to piss me off because nobody knows anything, like always. And we started off with, we took the top off the positive battery post. We jumpered from the battery terminal over to this to bypass that fuse if that fuse is blowing, like if you crash. Okay, that wasn't a problem. We did the same thing on the negative. That wasn't a problem. So we tested where they go up into the fuse box. All that was getting 12 volts, no problem at all. All that was good. So we tested up here, and I'll spoil it as soon as you see what I did. Tested up here. I even took both cables out of this holder, took vice grips, clamped them together to see if it'd start, just in case there was something wrong with this distribution box. Nothing. The same thing. Click but not start. Click but not start. Click but not start. So I went through, before I replaced the starter, I checked the ground up here from the valve cover. I also checked the ground that goes underneath from the engine mount to the chassis. All that was good. I even, before we replaced the starter, even did this. I even clamped one of the cables to the engine and one of the cables to the chassis. It made no difference at all. There's a few things you have to understand. You never know. You never know if your equipment of testing is good. You never know what's good, what's bad. Even if something worked before, it can be misdeceiving. We did switch the battery out with the CRV battery just for right now. That didn't make any difference. We put the battery tester on this battery. It tested out good. Tested out no problem. Said it's slightly low, but it's still fine. I have 2 sets of jumper cables, and this is the very first one I try to test with. And somewhere along here, I don't think this is, I think the other one's the one, this had a bad connection in the cable, and I vaguely remember that being an issue before when I was trying to jump something. Those cables didn't want to work correctly, so I grabbed the other cables, come up here, went from the chassis to the engine. And well, guess what? It started right up with no problem at all. So we have a bad ground, and which I think, looking at this, no, that's metal. Yeah, I don't know. So I think what I might do, somewhere up here, somewhere. My God, only knows where. I have in one of those totes a bunch of OEM ground cables, BMW ground cables. It says loop on each side. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably go underneath of it and chase another one, a fresh ground from the block somewhere or something, to the chassis and fix that ground problem. You know, I don't know. I even cleaned the ground underneath. It just won't. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. That's what the deal is. I can't say for sure. The other starter sounded real weak. This one's real loud and clicks real hard. So, you know, I don't know. And even, you know, it's a crappy deal. Sometimes you have to deal with stuff like that. I was fully assuming that the little feasible piece on the battery post was tripped from hard telling what, but it wasn't the case. So I'm going to put the ground on here. I'm going to put all the rest of this crap all back together. I got to put the cowling back in. I don't know if it was a total waste of time. I kind of felt like I should replace the starter all along. Now the starter is new on it. Now we know the starter is not going to fail on us. We know what we have. So I'm going to reassemble all this crap. It'll probably take me 30-40 minutes to do all that. Get it all put back together. And I want to put this front bumper back on. But as you can see, these LED strips are leaking water. They have moisture in them. So that's not going to work. We're going to have to take those off and reseal them or something. We'll see. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. Sorry about the nightmare, but that is how you replace a starter on a BMW E60. That part was nothing to it. Don't let somebody charge you for doing that. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.